Hey, my name is Brent here on Cloudy with the Chance of Meeples. Today we're checking out the Robber Baron expansion for Railroad Rivals. I believe it's the first expansion and currently the only expansion for Railroad Rivals. Originally the game plays 2 to 5. This is a modular expansion that ups the player count to 6 as well as a few other things. Let's take a look. Cue the thunder. So the radar overview for the Robber Baron expansion for Railroad Rivals looks like this. As you see, the score tracking board is considerably bigger and it is dual layered. So these stock little tiles as well as the trains, they sit in there. It looks great. I really like this. In comparison, this is the original one. So you can see it is definitely an upgrade in the scoring track. I found when you're doing the scoring track on the base game, these things like putting trains here on these numbers, it gets pretty congested, especially I can imagine in a higher player count. So love this new stock board and the score track board. So that's in there, as well as a few other things. You have now green trains. You can play up to 6 players. You'll also at that point need these white cubes, which represent male. With 6 players, you'll also need this New York, New Haven, and Hartford type of stock. So you gain 4 of those, as well as the little tracking token. And then you get some new cities. I placed them all out, just connecting them just to show you what they are. You would replace Boston and New York with the new ones if you're playing with these new tiles. So you just take the base game ones out and replace them with the new ones. I'll also say that these are the premium edition wooden tiles, and if you saw my unboxing, you saw how amazing these things look. Just fantastic art and all that. So that's what you get. You get a few more city tiles, and they're special city tiles. So you have this Transcontinental Railroad. This just acts as a wild. So if you bid for this one, you get it. You can just add it to anything, and it acts as a wild. You have the new industry. This tile, you would then play it later on in the game, and you would then replenish the cubes from a certain city. So say in this game, this Transcontinental Railroad had 4 cubes, and then they all were delivered. You could play this new industry tile to put 4 cubes back on there. And then you have the railroad headquarters. This lets you do 2 deliveries on a single turn in the deliver the good phase, and then it's discarded from the game. You have these locomotive upgrades, which are stock tiles. These give you 1 extra victory point every time you deliver a good, and a player can actually get both of these, so you could really get a little engine, no pun intended, going. And then you have the stock shenanigan tiles, which I like the artwork on these things, and these just kind of manipulate kind of the whole stock market and change things up. So you have the stock issue. Again, these are all stocks as mentioned. So gaining this one, you would play this and then add 1 extra stock during that bid for turn order as well as drafting phase. So the player who has this gets an extra stock that round. The merger tile, you play this, you would merge 2 railroads. So say I would use this to merge the B&O and the New York City. So then they just move one at a time closer to each other until they're on the same space. And then they act as one. So anytime goods are delivered to either of those, they move up. You have the loot the company. This lets you just sell all your stocks. You have to have at least 1 stock, and no one can have more than you. You gain 5 victory points, and then all those stock railroad tiles are removed from the game. Dump stock is, I guess, kind of similar. You would sell all your stocks. So imagine with me, I had New York City. I would then dump all my stock. I would get 8 victory points for every stock tile I have, and then this goes down 2 victory points for each stock that was discarded or dumped. Insider trading, you would take this and you would kind of skip the the turn order. So let's say you were outbid and you want to go first. If you had this stock shenanigan tile, you could play it and then jump to the front of the line, and then buy a stock. You can use this during your deliver goods phase, and you can dig through all of the stocks that are not presently been drafted, and you can just buy one of those. You pay the current value of whatever that stock is in victory points, and then you take that stock and then increase that stock by 1. So those are the stock shenanigans tiles, which will change things up, especially in the bidding for turn order and drafting phase. So that's what you get in this one. You also get a hotel and a water tower in green to go along with the rest of them. And these simply work. You would put them during your deliver a good phase. And anytime there's a water tower there, you can deliver a good through that city. So if it was set up on Worcester, as I could then deliver this cube across this line, New York City would go up 1, and then I could continue through again to increase that stock by 2. And then if ever a cube lands on a tile in which there's a hotel, whoever that person is who owns the hotel gains a victory point. I'll say also with the water tower, if you ever use someone else's line through the water tower, they would get victory points as well. So there you are. Those are the components for the Robber Baron expansion for Railroad Rivals. On to the final forecast. So the final forecast for Railroad Rivals, the Robber Baron expansion. As you can see in the radar overview, it's a modular expansion. So you can add kind of anything that you want. You can add it all. You can add some of the stuff, however you see fit. I like it that it plays 6 players. I personally have not played it at the higher player count. I haven't even played it at the 5-player count because I got my original base game in 2020, and well, we all know how 2020 was in the board gaming community. So I haven't played at the higher player count, so I can't say how much it extends the game. I can see it extending it a little bit more because I think the auctions, there's a little bit more to think about. If you're adding, the stock shenanigans tiles, which I'll get to in a moment, as well as some of those other ones, the new industry and the transcontinental and the railroad headquarters. And if you're adding some of those ones, I think it can add a little bit more to that bid turn order phase, because you really have to weigh out, which tile or tiles that you want. And speaking of those tiles, the new tiles, I enjoy those new tiles. I like the transcontinental one. It's a wild. Sometimes you have tiles in your hand that you're really just, it's not helping you because you've been getting lots of stocks first and being left with the leftovers of the city tiles, and the tiles of your stock portfolio or the cities for your stock portfolio aren't coming out as fast as you would like. And so you really need a wild. So I like that tile that you can use for that. I like the new industry as well. If there's a city that you've used all the cubes for and you're really wanting to, buff up that specific stock, then you can use that new industry, and then you put those cubes back on a city of your choice. And then there's the other one that lets you gain 1 extra victory point every time you deliver good. And then if you get both of those, you can really just rack up the points. And so I like those new tiles. I like also the stock shenanigan tiles. Nicole's always saying I'm full of shenanigans, and this game has some shenanigans to it as well. And so I like the aspect of, being able to, loot the company and just destroy all the stocks, or get your 5 victory points and then take all those stocks out as long as you have more than anybody else. And then of course the buy stock, how powerful is that? If you're you're waiting for that 4th stock of a certain railroad and you have that tile, you can look through all the tiles first, and then or all the undrafted tiles, and you can take any one you want, and that could really benefit you. So those stock shenanigans can really change the game, especially the merger one, where if something's way ahead of the other one and your stock for one of your railroad portfolio isn't as high, you merge those two and they move together. So there's definitely some stock manipulation in this, and maybe that's what some people may have wanted in the base game. this definitely brings that stock manipulation. So I did enjoy this this expansion for Railroad Rivals. I don't feel it's really subtracted anything from the base game, and it hasn't made everything too complex. And again, it's modular, so if you don't like the stock shenanigan tiles, just don't use them. Just use the transcontinental as well as the new industry and so on and so forth. So I like that, and of course it has the water towers and the hotels, which will get you more victory points as well, and let you, with that water tower, go through a certain city, so 2 tiles or whatever. So I don't know, I think it's a solid expansion for Railroad Rivals. It may have been able to be added to the just straight base game originally. Like I said, it doesn't add that much more complexity to the game. I enjoy this one. I enjoy the base game. It's a solid game, solid expansion. So there you are. That is the Railroad Rivals Robber Baron expansion. My name is Brent. Check us out on Facebook, Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples. Remember, grab your umbrella. The forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.